Hello everyone, welcome to our new session. Today we will talk about insurance. We will try to understand what is insurance, how insurance works, type of insurance, risk faced by insurance companies, and how to read and use mortality tables. So let's see what is insurance. It is a contract. Contract is a written official promise, and it is a promise between a company and an individual. Here company is insurance company. So now we have understood that it is a written promise between an insurance company and an individual. So what is this promise about? This is a promise where company says that it will provide a guarantee of compensation for a specified loss or damage or illness or health or death, right? So as of now we have established that it is a promise between a company and an individual where company will guarantee to that individual that it will compensate for his or her losses. But why will company do that? It will do that because in return that individual will pay a specified premium regularly to that company. So now let's see this entire statement in one sequence. So insurance is a promise between an insurance company and an individual where insurance company will say that in case of loss I will cover for your loss, and an individual says that for this guarantee I will keep you paying regularly a premium, which is amount of money. Let's see how insurance industry works. So there are two sides of insurance company, one where it faces clients and one where it does its investment. So people buy insurance for various reasons. One is for safety, to ensure that they get compensation in case of a medical emergency or a death of a family member. So they take insurance for that. Then people would like to insure their car, they would like to insure their houses, they would like to insure their companies. So in case, let's say there is a fire in the house or accident met by a car, or there is a theft in the industry in their company, then insurance company will compensate for their losses. So here on the bottom side you can see that insurance company is giving this guarantee that in case, let's say there is a medical emergency or there is a car accident or there is a theft in the house or theft in a fire in your office, then this insurance company will compensate, and in return for this guarantee individual will keep paying them premium. Now insurance company does not keep this premium idle. What they do is they go into market and invest it. They invest it into equities, bonds, commodities like gold, silver, real estates and other financial assets that are available to them. And for those investment they are able to make good returns. Why? Reason being the money that insurance company has is very long term. So generally people gets insured when they are at age of 10 or 15 or 20. Let's say between 10 to 20 years of age people start getting insured, and generally a healthy person will start using his medical premium by age of 50, let's say on an average. Not every year people will have their car getting damaged. It's kind of a once in a while kind of a situation where people will get met with an accident. Not every day fire will happen in house, not every day theft will happen in a building. So generally these premium, which are generally yearly or sometime monthly also, they are there for a very long period of time. So what they are able to do it, they are able to hold these assets for a very long period of time. So that's why they are able to get good amount of return generally on their investments. So this is how basically insurance company make money. One through premium and other through returns on their investments. Now let's move forward and see what are types of insurance companies. Typically you can classify them as life insurance and non-life insurance. So you can say there are life insurance and there are non-life insurance companies. But within non-life insurance companies, these days, due to rising cost of medical, especially in the advanced countries, health insurance has become a very major product in itself. So we can further classify them as life insurance, health insurance, and then club everything else into property and casualty insurance. Life insurance can be a temporary, which is term insurance, or it can be permanent, which is whole life insurance. So you have life insurance. Under life insurance, you have two types of insurance. One is your term insurance and other is your life insurance, whole life insurance. Okay. Let's see the difference between the two. In term insurance, no payment is made to the policy holder if he or she survives the entire duration of policy. Okay. So let's say I have a term insurance which says a period of 30 years, and if I die within a period of 30 years, let's say I will get 500,000 as sum insured. So if I survive this next 30 years, I will not get any money. So it's either you are going to get this entire money or you are not going to get any money. And so if you survive the entire duration of policy, which is let's say 30 years in this case, you will not get anything. If you die within this period, you will get sum insured, and for that you have to pay yearly premiums. Now let's see how it is different from whole life insurance. With whole life insurance, payment will occur upon death to the nominee. So in whole life insurance, when we talk about whole life insurance, let's change color so that it makes sense. So when we talk about whole life insurance, this timeline goes away. And there is this sum insured which gets converted into annuity and it gets paid to the nominee of the policy holder. So let's say I have a whole life insurance with sum insured of 500,000. Here there is no time period, there is only nominee. So whenever I die, this sum insured will get converted into annuity, which is basically your yearly withdrawals. You can kind of call it as yearly installments that will get paid to the nominee. So in this case, your payment is certain. In term insurance, your payment is not certain. So that's why generally a term insurance, you can get, let's say, 500,000 sum insured for a very less premium, because here there is a very high probability that company will not have to pay anything. Whereas in whole life insurance, if you take the same amount of sum insured, your premium will be much higher, because here there is a certainty that whole life insurance company will have to pay it to the policyholder nominee. Okay. So hope life and term insurance is clear. Let's move forward to see what are other kind of insurance policy. Other one is health insurance, which is basically which covers your charges for hospitalization mainly. So most of the health insurance policies have this condition where if you are admitted to hospital for 24 hours, then you can claim the hospital bills. But nowadays, preventive healthcare is gaining lot of importance. So most of the healthcare policies allows you to claim for OPD charges or your medicines or your preventive health checkups like your regular blood test or x-rays, etc. Okay. Premium is calculated and it remains same throughout the life of the contract. So it does not mean that if I have taken an insurance policy when I was 20 years old, let's say my insurance premium was 10k, but when I, let's say, became 30 years of age, my insurance premium shoots up to 15k. That is not the case. Generally, insurance company will calculate the premium in a way that your yearly premiums will remain same. So if it is 10k when I was 20 and I have taken this policy, so as long as I have this policy, my yearly premium would be 10k till this policy expires. Okay, irrespective of what my age is at that point of time. We will calculate premiums. We will see how insurance companies calculate such premiums. Then there is a concept of group insurance. Especially corporates, they take a group insurance for all of their employees. So if any employees get sick or they get hospitalized, they can claim it through this group insurance policy that the company has taken for them. Okay. The other one is property and casualty. So here you can consider your car, house, your factory, anything. So basically anything apart from life and anything apart from health comes under property and casualty. Some people take nowadays there is the trend where people have started taking insurance on their electrical devices. Let's say laptops. Laptops are very expensive these days, so they have taken insurance on laptops. They have taken insurance on their mobile phones. So all these things gets clubbed into property and casualty insurance. So property is your own property and casualty is basically when you cover the third party loss. So let's say your car has met with an accident and it has damaged other person's property. So other person can also claim insurance or claim for their losses on your insurance policy. So that is basically your casualty insurance. Okay, let's move ahead and see what are the risks faced by insurance companies. Some of the risks faced by insurance companies are insufficient funds to satisfy all the policy holders. It's same as funding risk for bank, where let's say insurance company has invested money in long-term bonds which will get matured after 5 years. And if there is a claim, then that money gets stuck. Money is already stuck, so they are not able to pay back their policy holder. So they have the money, but money is stuck, and because of it, they are not able to satisfy the claim of their policy holder. Other thing is low return on investment. It's kind of market risk for the bank. So here, insurance company has invested the money that it gets through premiums, but then that investment is not profitable, it's not giving them the return that they expected. Then is the liquidity risk for investments. It's pretty much same as insufficient fund, but here insurance companies have invested money in assets or financial assets which are not tradable, which are very difficult to sell and realize their investment. So that's basically is the liquidity risk. Then is the credit risk. So they have invested in financial assets, but then their counterparty got bankrupt, so they lost their money. Let's say for example corporate bond, they have invested in a corporate bond, but that corporate gets bankrupt, so they are not getting back their money. Operational risk is basically where you have lack of systems and control. Let's say an employee has used a weakness in the system to transfer premium received by company into their personal account. So that could be one of the example of operational risk. Okay, then there are certain kind of ratios based on which you can analyze the performance of an insurance company. These ratios are generally used by shareholders as well as management to see if company is profitable and in a healthy financial state. So first one is loss ratio. What is a loss for insurance company? When they have to pay out for claims made by their policyholder. So payout in a year divided by premium received in the same year, expressed as a percentage, is called as loss ratio. Then you have expense ratio. There are a lot of expenses apart from claims that an insurance company has to bear. For example, cost of selling, admin cost, cost of systems. So all this gets clubbed into expenses, and when it is expressed as a percentage of premium received, it is called as expense ratio. Then is the combined ratio, which is basically your payouts, which is loss ratio, plus your expenses, the other expenses apart from payout. So which basically combined ratio is your total expenses of the firm, both in terms of payout and admin expenses, you can say. Then some of the policies also pay dividends. So if you add the dividends, it becomes the combined ratio after dividend. Then is the operating ratio, which is combined ratio after dividends minus the investment income. So when you see the operating ratio, so if we go back to this diagram where we saw what are the sources of income for a company. So one is this side is your operating income and this side is your investment income. So insurance company has two ways of earning money. One is operating income and other is investment income. So what do you think is the core business of insurance company? It's getting premium and giving guarantees, right? This is the additional income that they are able to make because of nature of funds that they have. But their core business is taking premiums, selling insurance contract, taking premiums and giving the guarantees. Okay. So this ratio becomes quite important, operating ratio, where you are only looking at, you are subtracting the investment income from the combined ratio so that you are only having the operating income, which is expressed as ratio of premiums, total premium, and it gives you health of operations. Otherwise, sometime when you calculate these loss ratios, expense ratios and combined ratios, and combined ratio after dividend, it might look very good because maybe one of the investment have paid lot, but then their operations may be going down, their sales may be going down, which gets reflected when you see the operating ratio. Okay. Now let's see a few more concepts. These are some of the risks that insurance company has to handle. One is the moral hazard. Moral hazard is a term where a person, or it's a phenomena basically, where a person starts taking more risk if he or she is insured. Otherwise that person may not take these risks, but then if that person is insured, he or she may be taking more risk. Let's see this with an example. Let's assume that you have a shop and it does not have a insurance. So you would be very strict about the fire safety equipments that you have in the shops, anti-theft systems that you have in the shop. But once you have the insurance, you get complacent because you know, in case let's say there is a fire or a theft, you still will not have any loss because insurance company will pay for your losses. So this phenomena of person taking more risk if they are insured is called as moral hazard. Now moral hazard can be avoided by linking premium to the risk. For example, if person is healthy, you charge them less premium, and if the person is unhealthy, you charge him more premium. And if you would have noticed, or if you go out in market today and try to purchase a health insurance, they will always ask you, do you consume alcohol or not? If you are consuming alcohol, then what is the amount of alcohol that you are consuming? Similarly, do you smoke or not? If you smoke, then what is the frequency of you smoking? So they will ask you all these questions. Similarly, let's say if you are insuring your shop, a shop with all the fire equipments and anti-theft equipments will have less premium as compared to a shop that has none of them. Then another way of handling the moral hazard is co-insurance. So where insurance company says, fine, if you make a claim, if you have a loss, then let's say 10% or 20% of that loss you will have to bear, and rest we will compensate it to you. So in real world, what has been observed that, for example, if I have a shop and I have taken insurance, people have intentionally burned their shops so that they can claim the insurance amount. Now, to avoid these kind of wrong practices, what insurance companies these days do is that they say, fine, if you are burning your shop, fine, go ahead, but whatever the losses that you face, 20%, let's say 20% or 25% of it will be borne by you. So this basically disincentivizes people to not indulge in such wrong practices. Let's see another similar thing, which is called as adverse selection, which is again a risk for insurance companies. So it is a situation where insurer is unable to distinguish between a good risk and a bad risk. By charging same premium to all the policyholders, insurer might end up insuring more bad risk. So for example, we have discussed about group insurance, where a company take insurance for all its employees. In that, insurance company is not able to identify out of those employees who all have good healthy lifestyle, basically who don't smoke and who don't drink, and who all don't have a good healthy lifestyle. Okay. Similarly, while doing car insurance, insurance company may not be able to figure out whether the person driving the car is a careless driver or he's a good driver. Similarly, let's say doing a health insurance, insurance company may overlook that person is already facing lot of illness, so he is more prone to diseases in future also. So these are some of the things which insurance company have to take in mind when they are giving large amount of insurance policies. And again, it can be avoided mainly through due diligence. You do a initial good KYC of your customers, which is basically know your customers. You know your customers in depth, in detail, their background, their history. And then other thing is diversification. You give it to large number of people, so that even if there are some policies issued to risky people, it gets compensated by insurance policy given to non-risky people. Then this is something which we can skip, but still if it's there in the syllabus, we'll just touch upon it. It says what happens in case one, you have an insurance company with with a particular company, and that company goes bankrupt. So, and this is USA specific, but most of the countries around the world follow the similar model. So what it says is there is a guarantee association which works under government, and all the insurance companies have to contribute some amount to this fund based on the size of that company or the amount of premium that company is getting. And in case of failure, this pool of money is used to pay back the policyholders. A similar concept happens in banks, where a state-run insurance company takes premium for the banks and provide them guarantee that in case bank goes bankrupt, it will pay certain amount of money to their account holders. So this is something which is similar across the economies of the world. So it is USA specific, but it is something which is generally followed across the world also. Now look at another risk faced by insurance company, which is mortality risk. It is the risk of policyholder dying earlier than expected, and it is a risk for whole life insurers. Why? Because one, their annuity to their nominees will start very early. Two, the number of premiums that they would have received is very low. So for example, a 30-year-old person dying, and let's say their nominee lives till age of 80. So for next 50 years, the nominee will get the annuity. Compare it to a situation where that person, policyholder, lives till age of 75 and their nominee lives again till age of 80. So it's only for 5 years that they will have to pay annuity. Now, also, if person dies at age of 30, let's say even at birth they took the life insurance, they will get 30 premiums. But then if person lives till age of 75, they will get 75 premiums. So it is a risk for whole life insurers. Opposite of it is longevity risk, which is where person lives longer than expected. again, as discussed, this is good for life insurers because they are going to get more premium and they will have to pay late. Okay. So just now we've discussed mortality risk and longevity risk are both opposite of each other. So they are natural hedge. So idea is you give insurance to large amount of people so that some people will die early and lot of people will die late. Then there is a reinsurance contract where insurance companies insures their risk with another insurance companies. Okay, there are insurance companies who insure the insurance companies. And then there are longevity derivatives, which are bonds available where coupon is linked to number of people still alive in that group. Okay, let's see defined benefit and defined contribution plan. So these are generally the retirement insurance. In defined benefit, as the name says, your benefit is defined. So let's say when you retire, your insurance plan will pay you, let's say $100,000. Then there is a defined contribution where, as the name says, your contribution is defined. For example, you will pay, let's say, $10,000 per year till the time you retire. But then the final amount is not known, and let's say it depends upon the market condition, what is the return that insurance company is able to generate for you, and what is the period of your service. So if you have, let's say, worked for next 30 years, in 30 years you will keep paying 10,000, but then what it basically amounts to, you don't know. Alright guys, that's all for today's session. In next session we will talk about mortality tables and how to read mortality tables and use them to calculate premium for a particular kind of a insurance contract. So till then, all the best for your studies. Good day.